You're listening to I Love This TV Show, The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls, Season 2, Episode 15, Before and After. Rose is making an elaborate wedding cake. Sophia comes into the kitchen and wants to know who the cake is for. When Rose tells her, she thought that kid was a boy. Dorothy comes in the kitchen. Sophia woke her up banging the toilet seat. Sophia: Forgive me, sweetheart. Why don't you just get me a litter box next to my nightstand? Blanche comes back from her date. She wants to cut into the cake. Rose then lists all of the things she has to do. Dorothy tells her she needs to learn how to say no. Blanche and Dorothy insist that she sit and have cheesecake with them. They are both very worried about Rose. Rose went out to the living room to look for directions. But moments later, there's a crash. Blanche and Dorothy rush out to see what happened. They find Rose on the floor. She tells them in a very pained voice to call an ambulance. Sophia, Dorothy, and Blanche are all waiting at the hospital. Sophia tells them Rose will be fine. She knows death. She gives them a checklist of things that signal it. Sophia: I'll be honest. If anything happened to Rose, it would be like losing one of my own children. Sophia decides to go to the cafeteria. The doctor comes out and asks about those who came with Rose. He brings Blanche and Dorothy in to see her. He tells them it was an esophageal spasm and that Rose will be fine. But once the doctor leaves, Rose tells them she died and went to heaven. Dorothy tries to tell her she just hallucinated when she passed out, but Rose insists that it wasn't heaven proper, per se. Blanche: You died and went to a suburb of heaven? It was actually a large train station. She describes the station and everyone in it. The train schedule listed every destination as heaven. She meets her uncle Johansen. He died when she was 9 by a steam shovel to the mouth. Her uncle asks to see her ticket, and it's a round-trip ticket. She gets to go back. He advises her to make the most of the time she has. Sophia finally joins them. It's now another day, but it's actually quite late at night. The phone rings, and Dorothy wakes up to answer it. The conversation she has with the caller is very weird. Blanche comes out too. Blanche: Who was that? Dorothy: Another one of Rose's new friends. Blanche: Friends? They're more like animals. All they do is party and carry on all hours of the night. I'm abhorred. Sophia: We know what you are, Blanche. I'm glad to finally hear you admit it. Blanche: I said abhorred. Sophia: A whore, a slut, a tramp, it's all the same. Dorothy tries to point out they are talking about Rose, and Sophia agrees that she's been abhorred too. That staying out all hours of the night must be hard on her. Sophia then goes on a tangent about cereal, but Dorothy is worried about Rose, as she has not been the same since she died. Rose pops back in and invites the two to go with her and her new beach friends to breakfast at the beach. The two express their worry to her, and Rose instantly picks up on the fact that she's not helping around the house as much as she had. She informs them that if she can't live her life as she chooses, that she will move out. The next day, Sophia talks to the girls in the kitchen. She got a letter from her cousin, who was decorating at Tony Bennett's. But Blanche talks about Rose again. Everyone has mixed feelings about Rose leaving. Rose says her goodbyes to each of them. Rose adds a few things at her new place. She tries to make conversation with one of her roommates. Her second roommate comes home as well. Rose introduces herself to Liz. Her roommate Stephanie tells Rose they all go their own way. We're not friends. Rose starts telling a story about the first time she saw the beach. While she is talking, Stephanie gets up and walks away. Rose turns around to find her gone and is surprised. Back at the house, Blanche has done some shopping to cheer them up. She winds up keeping most everything. She does give Dorothy some edible underwear, though. Sophia comes out of the kitchen. Sophia: Let me tell you two a story. Both: No. Sophia: A short story. Both: No. Sophia: An anecdote. I won't take no for an answer. She tells them about 90-year-old twins. Neither are amused. She decides to just be blunt. Sophia: If you really miss her, go tell her. Maybe she misses you too. The two discuss it and decide to go see her. Back at Rose's new place, she is excited that all three of she and her roommates are home at once. She offers to cook. Liz tells her again they are all roommates, not friends. As they leave, Dorothy and Rose are at the door. When they ask Rose if she likes it there, Rose lies. Blanche starts to tell her that she misses her, but Dorothy stops her. The two leave and Rose becomes sad. She calls the front door and asks him if he wants to get coffee, but he's involved with another room. Rose sits in the chair, again, looking very sad. Back at the house, Blanche is upset that she doesn't have a date. While they are talking, Rose comes in the back door. She suggests they do what they always do, talk dirty and pig out. The three get supplies. Rose asks if anything interesting happened while she was gone. She's come back. Dorothy tells her about Sophia's cousin, Glenn, and how he's decorating at Tony Bennett's house. Blanche comments how she dated Tony Bennett. Blanche: I did more than date him. He may have left his heart in San Francisco, but he left his shorts on my radiator. The three enjoy the ice cream while Blanche tells them the story. I'll be right back after a short break. Favorite quotes. Sophia: Forgive me, sweetheart. Why don't you just get me a litter box to keep next to my nightstand? Sophia: I'll be honest. If anything happened to Rose, it would be like losing one of my own children. Dorothy: Of course, Blanche. They were all buying t-shirts that say, Today is the first day of the end of your life. Sophia: Don't get smart with me. If I was a short, bald man spouting this gibberish, I'd be running India. Dorothy: Ma, what's the point? Sophia: With a story, you get a point. An anecdote is pure entertainment. This is an episode that's quite Rose-centric. We start off seeing her make a wedding cake, and then we hear the list of things that she still has to get done, and a very tight line to get them done on. Tight timeline. And it's a lot of stress for her to undertake. And clearly it gets to her when she collapses in the living room, and it's an esophageal spasm where she says that she nearly died. And so there's a lot going on there. She's pushed her body to the breaking point, essentially, which is why it had the esophageal spasm to tell her, whoa, stop, you gotta slow down. In the hospital, though, she tells the girls that she died, and her uncle told her that she needs to live life to the fullest. And that's kind of a thing, because, I mean, what was she doing exactly prior to? Because she has been doing so many things. She doesn't know how to say no to people, which is part of the problem. And that really does make things a challenge. If anyone asks you to do something and you say, oh, sure, 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 without saying no, you don't have a lot of time for yourself to rest or to relax or to regenerate. And yeah, she just collapsed because her body was completely away. And so once she gets back to the house again, she's going in a whole different direction with her life. And Blanche and Sophia and Dorothy, they don't really know what to make about it. I mean, it kind of seems like a worse situation than it was prior to her collapse and hospitalization because she's still working all day, but now she's going out and partying all night. She's not getting much rest, and so they're worried that she's going to have another health crisis. When they bring these concerns to her, she doesn't look at it that way. She just thinks they're mad because she's not helping out around the house as much as she had been. And that probably is one of their concerns too. But at the same time, it really is kind of the same type of situation where she's pushing herself to go too far, to do too much. We don't know how much sleep she was getting when she was doing all these things and not saying no. We also don't know how much sleep she's getting with all of her new beach friends. And they all have a fight, and it comes to a head where Rose is basically given an ultimatum by Blanche, and Rose's response is the way most people respond when they're given an ultimatum. Well, screw you, I'm just gonna move out. And so she does find a new place to live, but her new roommates are kinda duds. They have no interest in each other. They just do their own thing, and they're not even really all that friendly or even all that courteous to each other. I mean, I could live with the not friendly part, but I mean, they're just kind of straight up rude. Stephanie gets up and leaves while Rose is talking to her. And then Liz just cuts her off both times. Yeah, they're not the nicest people to be roommates with. I mean, the apartment that they're sharing or the condo, I mean, that's amazing and gorgeous. The decoration is really, really nice. But at the same time, that doesn't really make it a home. It's about the people that are in it that you share it with. And so the girls actually do come over and talk to her because they miss her and they wanted to ask her to come home and tell her that they miss her. But the way Rose plays it, they decide not to. And so they leave after just a very short visit, and Rose just kind of sits there in the silence, and she's got plenty to think about. Not quite sure how much time passes between when she sits in that chair alone, hugging the pillow, and goes back to the house. But she definitely has time to think and compare what life was like prior to her episode to what life is like now. And clearly, she prefers life the way it was to how it is now. Oh, Blanche and Tony Bennett. That just cracks me up. Not sure if it's actually true, but we do know how Blanche likes to tell her stories. And we always appreciate Blanche's stories because they're very colorful. Sophia's always involved Cicely. Blanche's always involved men. Rose's stories are always St. Olaf based. And Dorothy's stories usually involve Stan, his toupee, or students at the school, wherever she was substituting at. Regardless, though, we always get a good mix of stories, and we got those as well in this episode from Sophia.
Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This TV Show podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.